Disclaimer: this story contains mature themes intended for adult viewers. Viewer discretion is advised. The air shifted the moment he stepped into the room. I was standing there in front of the mirror, half lost in my thoughts, wearing nothing but a soft nightgown that clung a little too closely to my skin. The dim light painted shadows across the walls, quiet and intimate, the kind of silence you can almost hear. I didn't hear the door open, but I felt him. Felt the pause in his breath. The way his presence filled the doorway without a word. He didn't speak. Just watched. His eyes moved slowly, deliberately from the curve of my neck, across my back, then down the length of my legs. I couldn't see him through the mirror, not clearly, but I didn't have to. I could feel the weight of his gaze. And somehow I didn't turn away. My breath caught in my chest, not out of fear. Not even from surprise. It was something else entirely. Something I wasn't supposed to feel. Because this was him. My stepson. We weren't strangers. Not anymore. We'd lived in the same house long enough to trade late-night glances over kitchen counters, quiet jokes, accidental touches that lingered just a second too long. Moments that never went too far, but always stopped just short of something neither of us could name. He stood there, looking at me like he saw something he hadn't dared admit until now. Something that was no longer hidden. And I didn't cover up. We were caught in that fragile moment, not moving, not breathing, held in the kind of stillness where everything could change with a single step forward. But then the hallway light flickered, and he blinked as if waking up from a dream. So did I. The spell broke, but not completely. It never really does. And now, nothing will ever be quite the same again. He didn't leave. Even after the hallway light blinked back to darkness, even after I turned just slightly enough to face him, but not enough to break the spell, he stayed. Silent. Watching me like he was trying to read something written between the lines of my skin. I swallowed, throat dry. "You should knock," I said, voice soft, not scolding. Just trying to breathe again. His eyes flicked up to meet mine. Something passed between us, not guilt, not shame. Just knowing. Like we both understood what we weren't allowed to say. "I didn't think you'd be up," he said. His voice was low, almost hoarse. Not from sleep, from restraint. I nodded. I couldn't sleep. He stepped forward. Not much. Just enough that I could smell the faint scent of cedar on his hoodie. Clean and warm and familiar. "What were you thinking about?" he asked. It was a question loaded with 1,000 things. None of them safe. I looked back at the mirror, at the woman standing there. Hair loose. Eyes tired. Heart pounding. Nothing important. He didn't believe me. I didn't expect him to. "I've never seen you like this," he said, softer now. "Like what?" He hesitated. "Real." That word hit deeper than I expected. I turned fully to him now, letting the moment stretch between us. There was so little space. Maybe a foot. Maybe less. His eyes were dark and searching. I saw the fight in them. The same one burning through me. I should have said something to end it, drawn a line. But all I did was lift my hand, meaning to brush my hair back, and my fingers grazed his as they hung by his side. The contact was light. Barely a whisper. But it felt electric. He didn't pull away. Neither did I. The silence roared between us now, heavy and breathless. "We should go to bed," I said finally, not moving. His jaw tightened. "Yeah." But still, neither of us turned. Still, we stood there, caught between what we wanted and what we knew we shouldn't touch. Not yet. But soon. The moment stretched like a held breath, fragile, trembling, dangerous. He looked at me as if trying to memorize every inch, every flicker of hesitation in my eyes. And I looked back, knowing I should turn away. The air between us felt charged, humming with something that neither of us could admit, not out loud. I could still feel where our fingers had brushed. That tiny spark. It lingered like a secret, one that refused to fade. "I didn't mean to walk in," he said, voice barely above a whisper. "I just heard something." I nodded, trying to smile, but it didn't come out right. "It's okay." But it wasn't. Because now the room didn't feel the same. It felt too small, too close. My pulse raced against the quiet. He shifted, shoving his hands into his pockets, like maybe if he hid them, he could hide everything else too. You've been different lately. Different. He shrugged, eyes darting briefly to the floor, then back to me. Distant. Like you're here, but not really. That caught me off guard. Because it was true. I had been distant. From everyone. Especially from myself. I've had a lot on my mind, I said softly. Things I don't really talk about. He nodded slowly, as if he understood more than I wanted him to. You don't have to tell me. He paused, took a slow breath. I worry about you. The words hit harder than they should have. His voice wasn't that of a boy anymore. It carried weight, care, warmth, restraint. Too much of everything I wasn't ready to face. For a second, he stepped closer. Just a half step. Enough that I could feel the warmth from his skin. The space between us narrowed until even the air seemed to tremble. I felt the pull, the kind that doesn't come from logic but from something older, deeper. My lips parted, not to speak, but to breathe him in. And then he stopped. Just like that, the spell snapped. His eyes flicked away, jaw tight. I should go, he murmured, voice thick. I wanted to stop him. I didn't. He turned toward the door, pausing just long enough for his fingers to graze mine again, not an accident this time. Then he was gone, leaving only silence and everything we didn't say. I thought he was gone. I stood there, frozen in the quiet, breath shallow, heartbeat out of rhythm, trying to settle back into stillness. But the moment had cracked something open. And it didn't close when the door did. Then, a soft knock. He was back. I turned, and there he was standing in the doorway, hand still resting on the frame like he needed it to keep steady. His face held something I hadn't seen before. Something raw. I can't leave like that, he said. My throat tightened. Why not? He stepped inside again, slowly this time. No pretense, no excuses. Just honesty in every breath. Because I'm tired of pretending it's not there, he said. Whatever this is, it's been growing for months. Every time we're alone. Every time you look at me like you don't mean to. I didn't move. I couldn't. You think I haven't noticed? He continued, voice softer now. The way you pull away right when I get too close. The way you hold your breath when I walk into the room. I blinked, tears threatening, not from sadness, but from how much I'd buried. You don't understand, I whispered. Then help me, he said, one step closer. Help me understand why it feels like I've been chasing something I'm not allowed to touch. His voice cracked on that last word. It made something inside me shatter. I looked up at him, really looked, and saw the fear in his eyes, but also the ache. The need. The longing mirrored in my own. I'm scared, I said. It was the only truth I could manage. He closed the gap between us, not touching, just there. His breath on my cheek. His hand lifting, almost brushing my face, but stopping just short. I won't do anything you don't want, he whispered. But if you asked me to stay, I would. I didn't answer with words. I leaned in, not all the way, just enough to feel the heat of his skin, the nearness of his lips. We didn't kiss. But it felt like we did. His hand hovered by my waist. My fingertips grazed his wrist. Everything in me screamed to fall into him. And then I stepped back. The rain started sometime after midnight. It was soft at first, a hush against the windows, like the sky exhaled all at once. The house felt quieter than usual, wrapped in shadows and the steady rhythm of falling water. I stood at the window, arms folded across my chest, watching droplets race down the glass. Behind me, the air stirred. He was there again. I didn't hear him come in. I just felt him, the way you feel warmth before you touch a flame. Neither of us spoke. He walked to me slowly, barefoot on hardwood, stopping just behind me. Close enough that his breath kissed the back of my neck. I closed my eyes. It's still raining, I said, my voice a whisper stretched thin. He didn't answer right away. Maybe it's supposed to. I turned. Slowly. Carefully. But when I looked at him, I didn't see hesitation anymore. I saw the kind of certainty you only get after denying yourself something for far too long. For a moment, we just stood there, inches apart, hearts racing, not pretending anymore. When he reached out, it wasn't rushed. His fingers found mine like a question. I didn't pull away. I couldn't. The warmth of his touch traveled up my spine, sank into my skin, deeper than anything ever had. He cupped my cheek with the gentlest reverence, brushing his thumb along my jaw. I leaned into him, breath shaky, heart pounding. Then his forehead rested against mine. And in that pause, that breathless silence, the world outside disappeared. "I don't know how to stop this," he whispered. "Then don't," I breathed back. And that was it. His mouth found mine with a slowness that made my knees go weak. It wasn't wild. It wasn't rushed. It was everything we'd been afraid to feel, poured into a single moment that felt like falling, like flying, like finally. My breath melted into his. His hands slid along my waist, careful, reverent. My fingers traced the line of his back like I was memorizing him, not his body, but everything he'd carried inside. When he lifted me gently, carrying me toward the bed, it wasn't about hunger. It was about need, the kind that came from every conversation we didn't finish, every glance we didn't explain. We didn't rush. We unraveled. Our bodies spoke the words we couldn't say. Every breath, every touch, every quiet moan was a confession we were too scared to make in daylight. The rain kept falling, soft and steady, like a lullaby only meant for us. Nothing was loud. Everything was felt. And when the storm finally passed, outside and between us, I lay against him in the dark, listening to the silence, knowing we had crossed a line we could never uncross. But I didn't regret it. Not for a second. Morning came quietly. No alarm. No voices. Just light, pale and cold, spilling across the room like a truth neither of us had prepared for. I woke first. His arm was still around me, loose now, but still there. And for a moment, I let myself stay in it, not thinking, not feeling, just being. But morning doesn't let you stay in the night. I slipped out of the bed slowly, careful not to wake him. My feet touched the floor like it might break beneath me. The room looked different in daylight. Everything did. My robe hung over the chair like it had been watching all night. The mirror still faced the bed. I couldn't look into it. In the kitchen, I made coffee I didn't want. The silence grew heavier with every passing second, not angry, just full. Full of things that hadn't been said, and things that couldn't be taken back. Then I heard footsteps. He stood in the doorway, rumpled and quiet. Not embarrassed. Not smug. Just watching me. "Hey," he said. "Hey." Neither of us moved. "You okay?" he asked gently. I nodded, but it didn't feel honest. "Are you?" He shrugged. "I don't know." I looked down at my coffee, both hands wrapped around the mug like I needed something to anchor me. "Last night, it wasn't supposed to happen." "But it did," he said. Not accusing. Just stating the truth. I nodded again. "I don't regret it," he said softly. "Do you?" My eyes met his. "No. I don't regret feeling it. But I don't know what it means yet." He stepped closer, but not too close. There was a new kind of respect in the space he gave me now, the kind that came after crossing lines and realizing just how far they really go. Then a knock at the door. We both froze. I moved first, brushing past him toward the front of the house. When I opened it, my heart sank. It was his father. My husband. Back early. Holding flowers. "I wanted to surprise you," he said with a smile. And behind me, I heard the floorboard creak. The door closed behind him like the end of a chapter, quiet, final, but not cruel. His father never noticed. He smiled, kissed my cheek, set the flowers on the counter like a man still living in a different story. I smiled back with the kind of grace you only learn after you've lied to yourself long enough to make it believable. He didn't stay long. Just a visit. Just enough time for us to sit in the living room with small talk and tea, while down the hallway, the memory of last night clung to the sheets. When the front door clicked shut again, I stood in the silence. The clock ticked too loudly. My hands were shaking, but I didn't cry. He came out slowly, like he wasn't sure he was allowed to still be here. "He doesn't know," I said, not turning to face him. I know. We stood like that, backs to each other, in the home we both no longer fit inside. I have to leave, he said. His voice was calm, even. But not cold. I know. I don't want to forget this, he said. Not any of it. I turned. Our eyes met. Everything between us tightened again, then softened all at once. You won't, I said. He crossed the room in 3 quiet steps. No rush. No heat this time. Just that kind of closeness that hurts more than it heals. His hand touched my cheek, his thumb brushing just beneath my eye, as if trying to memorize one last detail. And then, just a kiss. Gentle. Not on my lips, but on my forehead. It said more than all the things we couldn't say. When he walked out, I didn't stop him. And in the weeks that followed, I didn't chase the memory down. I let it live where it belonged, in that room, in that moment, in the way my breath caught when his eyes held mine. Was it love? I don't know. But it was real. And sometimes, that's enough.